Hi guys, it's Ammonia Void here with her 10th episode. This time on censorship. This is something that you guys have been reaching out to me a lot, and it's something that's very close to me and something that I have to deal with all the time. So I decided that this 10th episode is gonna be about that. I'm very sorry, everything took way longer than I expected, even though I promised you to do the videos more frequently and with some regular schedule. I didn't manage because I was moving 3 times last month, and it's been so much on my mind that I just didn't have any headspace to produce a new episode. But now finally I am settled down in a new apartment here in Paris, and it gives me a little bit of physical and mental stability. So I hope to deliver more. And as your favorite and worst YouTuber ever, not uploading content, I'm back, okay? I'm back. And I'm still so happy that you're watching with me now. So let's dive into this taboo topic. Let's go. So, as I already said, censorship is something that we as artists have to deal with a lot, especially people who have political content, um, sensitive imagery in terms of nudity. So social media, exhibitions, certain political systems, traveling, all this gets affected by this. So today I'm gonna be mainly dealing with the censorship that I was facing and am facing. Um, and I'm also questioning here, why is the naked body still seen as a threat? And I find it very ironic that on social media platforms like Instagram, it's platforms that thrive on attention and desire, but actively they sanitize the sensual and the erotic. There's so much objectifying, sexualized, very racial inappropriate content, racist, fascist content, and that passes through. But then suddenly art is censored, taken down. Artists are blocked, and their accounts are deleted. And from my own experience, I think you might have noticed that I changed my style in posting a little bit. It's more calm, more subtle. People have to read more in between the lines because you know this close I'm this close to being taken down. And I'm also very heavily shadow banned. I noticed that lately whenever I give my Instagram to somebody, unless they write perfectly the entire name, I don't show up at all. I also cannot be recommended in hashtags or through other profiles. So the only way how people can actually see my work is if they already follow me or if somebody shares my work. Otherwise nobody can see it. And of course when this started happening in the beginning, I was like, oh, do I have to change, or do I have to censor more, and do I have to shift my work? There was like this tension between wanting visibility and at the same time refusing to compromise. So I decided that there is no way, there is no way that I'm gonna change my work according to social media. So it's just like a different way how I present myself on social media, um, in accordance with the algorithmic suppression and community guidelines. I try to analyze this a lot. You have this way how you are shadow banned. It also like limits your activity on your posts. And I found out that after 30 days, if you don't breach the rules, it gets kind of renewed. So I have this one monthly card that I can put out something outrageous, and then then I'm not visible for the entire month again. But it also helps you know like how much you can push it and how much you have to stay close. Also, I noticed that oftentimes when something gets reported, it gets reported by like a bot, so not a human. And if I ask for like a review, it gets reviewed by a human, and then usually my stuff gets back, which actually is nice because then a lot of my stuff was put back, and the algorithm is marked as making mistakes on my profile. So that gives me that plays a little bit into my benefit, even though there are not many there. And there are some strange things that I noticed that, for instance, um, sometimes my images got like deleted 2 years, like 2 years old pictures suddenly. I don't know if this is because somebody reported me or because they adopted a new technology, but that was super super strange, and I noticed that it kept happening to a lot of my friends too. And there's this huge problematic with the algorithm that I notice, this cultural bias and double standard that it has, because um, queer or racialized bodies are being censored more aggressively, which is freaking crazy. And and it just shows like how this corporate policing of desire is actually all about power. So the system wants you to change your behavior, to change your thinking into what is right or wrong, and to also influence artists to amend their work to the demands to the system. And that is of course insanely problematic. um, I also think that like oftentimes this has negatively reflected on me as a person, on or my professional life. That people would say, oh, we don't want to work with you because you're like too explicit in your work, and it gives a bad image on the brand. So all this also like makes you question as an artist, oh, do I have to self-censor myself, or am I just in touch with the wrong people? And you know, maybe these type of jobs, these types of clients are simply not for you, because they don't really understand your work, and instead they project it on you, who you are as a person. And ironically, you know, in the in the professional world, or like through all the projects that I did, I noticed that the people who were the most careful with their social media, the people who sometimes didn't even have their social media, um, you don't even want to know what these people are doing behind the closed doors. And to be honest, for me, like being vulnerable as an artist to share my kind of truth out there, I always think that that makes it more trustworthy or less. I don't know, but I feel like I trust people more when I see them being more fragile or more open than actually people who are very very closed off. But it's unfortunately not a corporate mindset that works well in the professional field or in fashion or whatever. But here we go. But one major takeaway: please never censor yourself. You can still produce this work that you're producing, you know, stay authentic to what you're doing, because this is exactly what the system wants you to do. We as creatives never adjust our work to the system, right? So we can figure out the ways around. And you know, like I said, with trying to analyze the algorithm and whatever, people know that I still continue making this work. They just have to search for it more. So for instance, I did this Patreon account where people can find my uncensored images, backstage, or access to my books. Plus, of course, my books are like this free stream of consciousness where I share my images how I really want them to be seen, uncensored, in the sequence that I want, in the materials that I want, in the edition that I want. So this is the way how people get access to how I think and to how I create. And by buying a book from me or by subscribing to my Patreon, they support me in continuing in the way I want to work without self-censoring myself and without changing my work. Because at the end of the day, there's 1 million trillions whatever posts made every single day, and everything gets lost. There's so much that we don't remember images anymore. That's why authenticity is super rare. And I always tell people, please don't follow trends. I curate a lot of books, and every single year I see there are some kind of trends of photography that people tend to follow. But instead of making it appealing to me, I find it very alienating, in the sense that this person can actually not speak for themselves, because I have seen it 10 times and it doesn't distinguish this person from the herd at all. So please continue making what you're doing the way you are doing, even though people are judging it, or if Instagram is taking it down. It actually means that you're doing something worth doing. Because if there is no resistance, if it's too easy, then what's the point, honestly? Then nobody cares. And if you're making somebody angry, it means that it has some kind of power, some kind of resistance, and that's good as an artist, no? And so what else? Blah blah. I'm just reading my notes, sorry. Yeah, so what is important in this shift? Let's say you have to inform your audience about this shift. So not like directly, okay, now I'm changing everything, but like, okay, this is how I continue, but where to find the real stuff. So provide links where people can be redirected. So you can also build your own community elsewhere. I know people are turning to like Telegram channels, people are turning to Patreon, people are turning to Blue Sky. So there are alternatives. We just have to like learn how to use them and learn how to inform people about their existence. So here are a few tips on what like makes you stay true to yourself without really burning out. So one of them is, as I just mentioned, create alternative platforms or newsletters. Second is to use coded language or images while preserving the meaning. I like to think about this a lot. Coded language for me is something that I try to implement in my work, that I just give a taste of something. I don't reveal everything, which makes people imagine a lot of things. They can project a bit of themselves, and every person can react in a different way. And my inspiration for this mostly comes from Czech writers who, during the communist times, to avoid censorship, they wrote in a language that it wouldn't get censored by the communist regime, but of course deep down it was a critique of the regime. And this was so clever, and as a reader you really had to imagine, you had to interact with the work in a very different way, because it was not literal. And I think lately we are so used to literal language for taking things as we see as the truth. There is not much imagination anymore. So this really inspired me to create my own language, how I communicate through my images with people, with myself. So I think it's something that you can create for yourself as well. Another like more practical tip is to use hashtags. I also read about this, that if you use hashtags that are really neutral, like analog photography, contact sheets, so that it's really like process related, something close to the craft, what you're doing. And totally avoid like hashtags with like nudity, I don't know, anything like fetish, sex related hashtag, just avoid it, so that the algorithm can immediately position your image somewhere else. And that I know this really helps too. And you know, like as an artist, you can maintain those multiple personas. You don't have to just operate me as Linda. You can operate as an alter ego. You can operate as someone online, but you can operate as somebody completely different in real life. So, you know, the world doesn't only exist online, it exists outside very much so. So you can figure out for yourself what fits you and what you want to do, and that you don't limit yourself as an artist to this one persona as who you are, and try to reinvent yourself in real life. Try to experiment with print, for instance, or attend events where you can build this community. So it's different than just exchanging Instagram with somebody. And of course, collaborate with people who are like-minded, to increase your visibility and some kind of resilience. So in conclusion, nudity and sensuality are forms of resistance. So what you're doing, it's not passive work, it's actually very active work, and gives you agency and power to shift how people think, how people see, and that is huge. So this episode is really like a call for creatives, for people who are like-minded, to keep making despite this erasure. So I hope you find it inspiring, and please don't censor yourself, because we need to exist as we are. Ciao, ciao, guys. I see you soon in another episode. Bye.